Hello, I'm Dr. Basil Considine, and here at the end of the semester, we are going to be doing an abbreviated task-specific webinar about writing about and researching careers. In several programs, you are asked to discuss an ideal job, and to find out what an ideal job looks like, you might go looking at actual job postings. And then if you're going to be discussing them in your paper, of course, per APA style rules, you will need to be citing and referencing these job postings, and that is the focus of this webinar. Because this is one of our end of semester task-specific webinars, we're not going to be discussing other Writing Center services in any detail. See just about any of our other webinars for that information. Now, our general sorting for webinars. If you go to our webinars guide, you'll see a calendar listing at the top of all the webinars for the term. You'll see at the bottom an alphabetical list that you can search. And also, if you're looking for webinars associated with your specific program and course, go to the tab guide in the middle where you can, for example, select HHP to see all the webinars that tie in with your specific program. With no further ado, let's dive in. So our learning objectives today. First, we're going to be discussing HHP 201's assignment, Career Options in Health and Human Performance paper. This is an assignment that asks you to discuss two different jobs, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to discuss actual current positions in listings, to look at real-life artifacts. And of course, if you're going to be writing about them, referring to them in APA style, you need to be able to cite and reference those. So let's go ahead and dive in and look at what this assignment asks you to do. So this is coming from the Foundations of Health and Human Performance course. And the description begins with a preamble. This paper should provide you with a variety of career options in the field of health, wellness, and fitness. This may help you to begin to focus on an area or two that may especially interest you and allow you to make the needed preparations. And the instructions say you need to write a 2 to 3 page paper that discusses at least 2 professional career opportunities in this field. And for each of them, you need to discuss things like the educational requirement and any certifications, the job specifics, and then you, of course, will want to discuss these and explain why these are interesting opportunities. Keeping in mind that the preamble says, okay, career options, so how did or why do these interest you? And one of the mistakes in an assignment like this is if you just focus on the list here in the instructions and you don't keep track of the big picture mentioned in the preamble, where it says you should be providing career options and discussing how or why this interests you. And it might be that the job doesn't have absolutely everything that you're looking for, but this is the entry level, or this has the potential to grow or move into that, or perhaps it's a company that hires from within, so to start you need to begin somewhere, whatever your reasons might be. And if we look at the rubric, it is basically saying, hey, are you discussing these things? And then you'll see that a considerable amount of the points, a third of the points, goes for, is this the right length? Do you have all the APA required things? Does the wording make sense? Is your grammar strong and free of errors? So keep in mind that quality control is important, and if it's helpful to come to the Writing Center for some feedback on your writing, by all means, I encourage you to make an appointment. Just go sooner rather than later because it is near the end of the term. All right, so usually people don't have trouble with searching for job listings these days because you can type into Google or Bing or other search engines like that, and they will offer job results immediately without your having to go to a specific tool. But if you are looking for a tool, here are some places to look. LinkedIn Jobs, that does require an account to do many of the things. Indeed.com and ZipRecruiter. These are by no means exhaustive. There are tons of job sites out there, and if you are looking for a special resource or a special field, like for example if you're looking in higher education, there are some websites you might want to check out just for that. And I've included higher ed jobs as an example of one of those particular focused websites. So for example, if you were married and you and your spouse were looking to get a job at the same institution, you might be using a specialized resource like this that focuses on, pairs of applicants looking for jobs that might take the two of you to the same place. Now, whatever jobs website you're using, or service if you're using like Google's integrated job search, you want to find what we call a permalink. And this isn't permanent necessarily in the sense it'll be there forever, although that's increasingly the case these days, but in the sense of we want it to lead directly to the job posting, not be something that, if someone loaded the link, that it would take them just to the job service in general. So this may or may not be what the web browser shows at the top. So before you paste this into your references, make sure you paste it into a new browser window and make sure that it opens up the job that you want. And if copy and pasting the web browser URL doesn't work, it doesn't open up the posting that you're looking for, look on the page or search on the page for a share button, a send button, a reply button, or a copy link button. It might look like a chain link. And then you'll end up with a URL, for example, this very long one, and from ZipRecruiter. Now, the length itself isn't a problem, because the length, and this is all going on your references page, so it's not going to clutter up the citations in the body of your paper. That's one of the reasons why APA style separates the citations and the references. So, for example, if we were going to be grabbing a job from LinkedIn here, once we have pulled up the job, there's this reply button at the top. This curved arrow here looks like an email reply button, and that'll pop up a menu and we can select copy link, and that will get us the URL that you see at the bottom. Now, in this case, Society for Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration, Inc. is the name of the company as listed in the job post. So they're the group that authored the job post that claims the authorship for that. LinkedIn is the site that it's on. So we have the company listed as the author, N period, D period, because it doesn't have a date posted. Some listings will, in which case you can include the year, but very often they do not, especially if it's a company that is in, as they say, continuous hiring. So looking at the reference, we have the name of the company, then in parentheses, N period, D period, because they didn't put a date on the job posting. Then we have the title of the position, Professional Development Specialist, just written in sentence case. That's in italics. The name of the website, LinkedIn, and then the URL. Now, thereafter, when you're citing it, you can just refer to the author and date information. So the first job post that I identified was for a Professional Development Specialist, parentheses, Society for Mining, Metallurgy, and Exploration, Inc., ND. Now, you could do that all the time, but it's kind of unwieldy and visually distracting to have such a long author name there, which is why you might introduce an acronym. That's why SMME is there in square brackets inside the parentheses. And once you've done that, you can and should just use the acronym for everything in the body of the paper to refer to that same thing. So this job pays $48,000 to $55,000 per year, SMME, N period, D period. And that's all that's required to identify where this listing is coming from and to attribute the information that you are introducing. Now, in terms of outlining and drafting, let's go back to the requirements here. So this suggests that we're going to have a paper with probably 5 headings. One for professional career opportunities, one discussing the educational requirements and certificates, another for that same job about the job specifics, and then this same pair of things for the second opportunity or job. And then a conclusion at the end. You know, is there one job that you prefer? Would you be equally happy in both? Is one more of a stretch position than the other? These are the kinds of things that you can write about to wrap things up. And it doesn't need to be a terribly long conclusion, but you do want to make it clear that you're not just summarizing these things and just stopping. This should be a coherent paper, and that involves introducing what you're going to be writing about at the beginning of the paper. And then after these main sections that are outlined in these first 4 rows of the table, after those main sections, give us at least a brief conclusion to wrap things up and tell us, okay, what's the so what? So make sure that you outline that in your paper. And if you have any other questions on this, feel free to send us an email at onlinewritingcenter@acu.edu. All right, that's it.